Hello YouTube. In this episode from the Edge of Awesome, we'll be reviewing the Arrow vs. Flash crossover 2-night event this week. Now, I must say it was a little jarring to see the two shows intertwined since I've become used to them being in their own silos. But once I got past this, I was very excited in what I was seeing, especially the mutual training between the Arrow and Flash, the team up to take down the metahuman villain, and the major battle between the Flash and Arrow caused by the metahuman's abilities. Of the supporting characters, two jumped out as my favorites. First, Diggle's reaction to the Flash and metahumans was the best, as he was clearly stunned and flabbergasted to see what Barry can now do. And Cisco, as being the ever-excitable enabler who geeks out at all the right times. I found that every time I was about to get really excited at what I was seeing, he was right there with me and jumping right in. So he was very relatable for me and I loved it. The tensions between the two teams and some of the characters was foreshadowed by Oliver when he initially didn't want to team up with Barry. Because as he puts it, he, being Barry, doesn't want to do this together, he only thinks he does. Meaning that the Arrow is a much darker anti-hero compared to the Flash's traditional hero persona, in that he's not fully aware of the tactics that Arrow has to employ to get results, and he's pretty sure that he wouldn't be fine with that if he actually saw it face to face. This different world distinction was even more evident when the two-night crossover eventually moved into Arrow's time slot and into Sterling City, a darker, grittier environment than Central City's business and science center feel. The major battle between a meta-enraged Flash and the Arrow was a terrific cinematic parallel between the Batman versus Superman dynamic. On one hand, you have superhuman abilities in a hero character, and on the other, you have a very human character who is dark and flawed, but has to rely on nothing but training, conviction, and gear in his fight for justice. The battle will almost always look one-sided, with one member seeming to be standing still, but the ingenuity and creativity distilled onto the screen for this was enthralling. I honestly could not tear my eyes away. The major secret, however, of Oliver's that we were told would be revealed in the crossover turns out to be his identity to Team Flash. It was not a comic universe shattering secret, at least not yet, and honestly I was looking forward to learning more about Oliver's past. Instead, there was nothing new revealed to the viewer. So, into night 2 of the crossover event, Caitlin and Cisco from Team Flash show up at Felicity's office to pick up some evidence that she requested they take a look at to see if they could help her solve who killed Sarah Lance. From there, they visit Team Arrow headquarters, leading to a nearly full immersion between the two casts. Diggle heads over to Argus HQ after a lead on Captain Boomerang ends with the realization that both Argus and the Arrow are after him. While there, Diggle comes under attack by Captain Boomerang, who has fought his way through the Argus facility to kill Diggle's ex-wife, Lila. Word gets back to Arrow and Arsenal, who come in for backup, getting there just in time to help turn the tide at Argus. The fight between Captain Boomerang and Team Arrow was fantastic, seeing Arsenal and Arrow going against him in a melee fashion, and Diggle and his wife there as sort of backup support, firing a couple shots here and there. At one point, the Boomerang gets the drop on our two heroes, Arsenal and Arrow. At that moment, Flash rushes in, grabbing two Boomerangs out of the air and lining up right next to Arrow. Captain Boomerang's reaction to this was great. It was right in step with how Diggle first reacted to seeing the Flash, which was one of complete disbelief, and he immediately bolts from the area, ending his attack on Argus, and more importantly, Diggle's ex-wife, whom he has apparently a vendetta toward because of time he spent on the Suicide Squad for Argus. Because one thing you'll learn about Arrow is that nothing is ever black and white on that show. Which, again, is something that Barry and Oliver argue about more in this episode, about the nature of the world and those in it. At this point, the guys go out to try and get the jump on Captain Boomerang, but it turns out to be a decoy location, allowing him to locate the Arrow's headquarters and attack Lyla herself. She's there with only Caitlin and Felicity, so it's really a one-on-one battle between Lyla and Captain Boomerang. Felicity tries to help out by directing Lyla to various weapons caches and eventually throwing a flash grenade herself, but that only comes after Lyla's been hit by one of his boomerangs and is starting to bleed out. The guys, having realized the deception, arrive back with Lyla laying on the table, so the Flash immediately rushes her to the nurse hospital for treatment. Lyla ultimately pulls through at the hospital, but it brings about a realization in Caitlin and Cisco that they've often treated this like a game, by using code names for the different villains, and the fact that when dealing with metahumans, it's so grandiose that it doesn't quite seem real. But in Arrow's universe, the baddies are almost always human and much more menacing because there isn't anything alien about their behavior. After this, the two teams pull together for a Hail Mary against Captain Boomerang that successfully captures him and prevents several bombs from going off around Starling City. It even manages to redeem a bit of Oliver's sense of humanity, as it were. The crossover ends with a private combat training between Arrow and the Flash. Yet again, a great little bit of candy, if you will, for the fans. I definitely enjoyed it. This was definitely the best couple hours of television this week, and will likely be some of the best this season. We are, however, heading into the mid-season finales for both shows, where Oliver will come face-to-face with Ra's al Ghul, and Barry will meet the Reverse Flash, from his perspective anyways. So, that being said, what are your thoughts on the crossover event? With Star Labs now doing research into Sarah's killer, who do you think the evidence will point to? Please leave your thoughts below, and of course, please subscribe for new content, share this with your friends, and like this video. Thanks for watching.